Any event that you experience, which could be over a period of 3 hours or over a period of 5 days, what you remember of that event is not the average of your sum throughout. It's how you felt at the peak of whatever happened and how it ended. Highlights is the most basic manifestation of the peak end rule. It's you're taking something over a 3 hour or 5 day period, compressing it, capturing all the peaks and showing how it ended.
There are areas within the space of business education that have often been attractive only because students were passionate about them and not necessarily having great career prospects after that. One of those areas has been sports marketing in the past. But over the last decade or so, some really exciting things have happened, and today sports marketing is considered a very attractive profession to get into for students. And today we are going to talk to Professor C.D. Mitra, who's been taking this course for the longest time. He's probably the first person who's started this course in India in business education, and it's a pleasure meeting you, sir, and talking to you about this. And along with that, we've got Siddharth Raman, who's my junior from MICA, who's had a career in sports marketing, working for a variety of businesses which decided to particularly focus on sports marketing and build businesses around them. So I welcome both of you to this discussion. Really looking forward to talking to you guys.
Sports marketing happened in MICA partially as an accident. I think there was a student, in fact, from your batch who'd gone abroad for internship, figured out that there's a course called sports marketing, right. And figured out that maybe a business school, and he was part of MICA, right, should be offering that. There's clearly a lot of passion and interest among students. Right. First and foremost because it's sports, and I think young people like sports. But I think also because intuitively a lot of these students and business students understand the business potential of sports as an industry. Part of a growing and nascent industry means good things for the industry, but possibly good things for their own career. And we have examples like Siddharth who, literally grown with the industry.
Beyond sponsorships, what are the interesting ways, if you could give us specific examples where brands have used sport?
Best examples globally is Red Bull, which actually almost positions itself as a part drink company and a part content company. This whole positioning of energy and this attractiveness to the young population, they've been effectively been able to do by associating themselves with multiple sports activities and teams. They sponsor a whole lot of teams, right from football to Formula 1 or whatever.
And adventure sports.
And more importantly, adventure sports. I mean, they were the guys who sent somebody up into space to create a record-breaking, jump from space and all that. You can ride on something that somebody else has created, like a tournament, like a team, which is riding on somebody else's property. Or you can start creating your own property and your own content. And I think Red Bull does a bit of both.
You've had a 7-year-long career in sports now. So can you take us through what your career journey has been and what are the different ways in which you got into work in sports?
Sure. So that's a very interesting question, Kun. So my exposure to the industry actually started with my summer internship itself, right? Thanks to CD, I got to intern in a Formula 1 team, erstwhile Sahara Force India. It was 2011. They had launched a Formula 1 driver academy in India, which ended up becoming my summer internship project, which got extended into monsoon and winter internship project as well. So working with the caliber of a Formula 1 team, right? Everything needs to be going by clockwork precision, the way they plan, the way they approach everything. Post my graduation, I had the opportunity to continue working with the UB group, but this time it was with the cricket team, and I ended up...
so Royal Challengers.
Exactly. And again, over there, I had the opportunity to be a part of the digital marketing team. So 2013, digital marketing just picking up, and digital marketing for an IPL franchise was something where I had no experience in digital marketing. Being a part of an IPL franchise, you need to plan for stuff like if CSK trolls you, what should be your response, right? Those kind of scenarios. Plus, okay, Virat's available for 5 minutes. What kind of content can we create with him that will keep fans happy?
Interesting. So a lot of sports marketing is also about celebrity marketing, especially if it's a team like RCB. Exactly. There is Chris Gayle and there is Virat Kohli and there is AB de Villiers and there are just so many big name players there. Correct. So what are the elements of celebrity management that come into sports marketing when you run a team like RCB?
I think the biggest learning over there is you got to make them, you got to put their most authentic face forward, right? Fans know how the players are. You can't make a Virat Kohli or a Chris Gayle look sober and mellow in a situation where they otherwise would be gregarious, right? So it's how do you just capture that authenticity of them and show fans that.
So after RCB, what was your next venture into sport?
So post that, I moved to the DDB Mudra group. I was working there in the CEO's office, but one of the deals I had with him when I took up the job was I need to continue working in sport. So being a marketing services conglomerate at that time, I had the opportunity to work across all aspects of marketing whenever sports came in, right? So in the inaugural edition of the Pro Kabaddi League, I actually was a part of the team that worked with one of the franchisees over there, right? So I understood the end-to-end operations for a brand new league in India, which in its early days nobody thought would be successful.
So Siddharth, from here, where did you move next?
The Under-17 FIFA World Cup, the first FIFA global event to take place in India. We were involved with marketing and some of the on-ground activations for that. So again, over there, just learning how an organization like FIFA operates, especially when they come with their 384-point checklist. Working in that kind of a scenario, trying to strike a balance between the best of both worlds and tempering expectations with reality, but ensuring delivering a world-class event as well, right? So that was one. We worked with a large social media platform for the 2015 World Cup. Again, for them, the focus was on driving user acquisition onto the platform on the back of the Cricket World Cup. So that was one. And one of the last projects I did over there before moving on was Puma had just signed on Virat Kohli, and they were launching the 1-8 brand, which is his own personal brand. And the first launch for that was with Puma. So we actually had the privilege of putting together the first brand campaign for Virat's own personal brand through Puma, and that's something I am extremely proud of. And then post that, I've now working with a digital company in sports, Sports Interactive, where we work across technology, data and content solutions. We've seen the Maslow's hierarchy of needs for a human being, right? What's the most basic need for a sports fan? You all are sitting in class right now and there's a live match going on. What's your mind on? Exactly, right? That's the most basic part of what a sports fan wants. It's scores, right? And on top of that, you start building the various other layers. Everything that each one of you has said is something that sports fans need, but the score is the most basic part of it, right? So, and that's the foundation for what sports analytics is, right? Capturing scores at a very basic level, and then going deeper and deeper into capturing more data points to be able to tell the right stories. You start with actually capturing the data. The capturing then goes into all the data you captured goes into a database where you're able to analyze it. Once you've analyzed it, you visualize it in a way that makes it easy to consume and helps make the fan experience better. And then finally, you use that to engage with fans at a deeper level.
MICA is a marketing school. You're learning all these concepts, whether it's event management, celebrity management. Why do you need sports marketing as a separate subject?
You know, when I started putting together the first course, that's a question I asked myself, and in every course, Siddharth knows this because he was part of the course. In every course, I start the first class by saying, why should there be a subject called sports marketing? I mean, marketing is marketing. You don't have a course called refrigerator marketing. You don't have a course called jeans marketing. So marketing is marketing. Marketing principles apply to everything. So I say that unless there are some unique characteristics of sports as a category, unless the business model is different, and unless the consumer behavior is different, you should not have a separate course. And then I go on to establish that on each of these parameters.
I will pay money to go and watch my favorite team play in another city as well, right? I'm happy to book flight tickets, hotel, etc. This happens a lot in cricket in India right now. The next one is where you become collectors, and this I always like to give the example of Premier League club fans. So whenever Manchester United gets a jersey partner or a new sponsor, jersey sales will always spike up because everybody wants the latest jersey, right? So you become collectors. You have all possible jerseys of your favorite team. The next one is the attachers. The attachers are the ones who actually travel with their team no matter where they are, and these are your fan clubs. So your Bharat Army, Barmi Army, the other guys who are willing to not lead a normal life and spend time and money going after their favorite teams. The last two are the most rare and probably a handful of such people. Insiders are people who actually get special access to the team, and the players know them. They are so popular as fans that players also can identify them and who they are. There's only one person in Indian cricket currently Exactly. Sudhir Gautam, who
on unique characteristics of product, of pricing, of place, of promotion, of segmentation, targeting and positioning, of how the business model works. There's a very interesting link between the B2B and the B2C model and how they're interdependent and correlated. And most importantly, how consumer behavior comes to sports is so different. I'd like to believe that, we often believe that human beings and consumers are rational, but sports is completely rational, because we can't call our audiences consumers. There's a different word, and that's a fan.
Fan.
Right? So fan is very different from a consumer in any other category. And understanding the whole psychology and the dynamics of fan, including how they behave often like tribes, the sense of belonging, the sense of identity, is a
Sense of community.
all of that is so different. Ads that Carlsberg came out with when they were tying up with Liverpool. Now they understood the psyche of the fan, and the kind of ads they would come out with actually played into the whole psyche at the time that they were winning versus the time they were losing.
What have your experiences been with technology in sports in your current role?
we exist because of the sports fan, and we leverage a lot of technology to see how we can drive deeper and deeper fan engagement. The difference in sport compared to all other categories, it's so dynamic. When live sport is going on, you need to be there in the moment, right? Virat Kohli scores a century in 30 balls, you need to have that infographic, visual, highlights clip all out in less than 2 minutes, otherwise it loses relevance. So that's where technology plays a huge part in automating a lot of things that we do, and a lot of the things that fans see. The second one, in terms of player performance, player analytics, that's something that we do for certain sports around cricket, kabaddi, etc. So we have, one of the things we try and do is we build the most robust cricket analytics database we'd like to say globally. So if anybody, whether it's a fan or whether it's any team owner, wants to know Virat Kohli during his ODI career between overs 25 and 30, how many times has he played a cover drive that has resulted in an outside edge and was a dropped catch, we'll be able to query that and give that to you in less than a second, right? So that's the level of work we're doing there. And then there's also the third part, like when it comes to building teams, right? So for cricket, kabaddi, football, we help teams build the right squads. So we have tools that help simulate auctions. We have our own analysts sitting at the auction table with team owners in real time, telling them, okay, if this team chooses this person, here's whom we should go for, here's our ideal team, here's how close we are to achieving that.
When you were at MICA, what impact did it have on you, and how did it prepare you for the industry that you wanted to get into?
My single-minded objective when I came to MICA was to pursue a career in sport, and I remember reading about the first course in sports marketing in the country being conducted in this business school. I was the nut job who did not apply for summer internships. I actually opted out of the process to pursue a career in sport, and that's where people like CD helped me. Right. So in my first year itself, I sat for the course and I was in awe, right? Because you have someone like a Joy Bhattacharya, who was that time team director for KKR. Harish Krishnamachar, who until then was managing brand Sachin Tendulkar. Those 1 hour sessions were worth their time and weight in gold in terms of the amount of learnings you could get. And I think that for me was the first part which I thought was a huge differentiator for this course, right? I think the perfect mix of theory and practice. The highlight for me during the second year was Sundar Raman was coming again to take the course. I actually asked CD, can I go and pick him up at the airport, right? Because 1 hour with him in the car from the airport to campus.
Its weight in diamonds.
Exactly, right? And not just that, once he came, we were sitting at Chota, and over aloo parathas, he was telling me about the story of how they moved the IPL overnight in 2009 from India to South Africa, right? Yeah. He basically just left the country with a pair of jeans and a shirt and didn't come back for the next 3 months, right? So hearing those stories firsthand, those were huge, high points for me.
What are the different avenues that are available today in India, abroad, that I can get into?
So I think in marketing off sport, there are multiple different opportunities, right? One is working directly with a league, where it could be in operations, marketing. You could work with a team also, where you're in sponsorship, sales, operations, marketing. You could work with a broadcaster as well, right? Because packaging and production of sport is also a huge opportunity. Those are prime, and then you could also work in stuff like athlete representation, where you could be the Jerry Maguires of the world, right? So those are the primary opportunities in marketing off sport. I think marketing through sport, it's pretty straightforward in terms of just can you be a part of a sponsorship team, right? There are certain brands that are built on the back of sponsorship, sport being one of them. like the most unlikely of brands like an Infosys or an SAP actually have a separate team that just looks at sports sponsorship, and it requires a deeper understanding of their products, because what they're doing through that sponsorship is actually showing live demonstrations of their product. Right? There's branding and visibility, but it's also showing how their product solves real life challenges. So those are also interesting opportunities that are coming up now. I think for me, as long as I'm doing something in sport, it doesn't matter where I am. As long as it's something that I find fulfilling and something that I feel where I'm adding value to an organization and more importantly to sports fans.
Thanks a lot, guys, for doing this. This was really enlightening. Right now, I really want to get into this. I want to abandon my career and I want to get into sports after having spoken to you guys. I'm sure you're going to have that same impact on a lot of students coming into MICA and taking your course. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Thank you.